I'm over here at Long Island MMA with my boy Danny Trujillo.
Ready to work?
Yep, so we got some takedown work going in, a little bit of throws, a little bit of positional training, front headlocks, then a couple of live goes, you know. A little bit of training after my strength and conditioning work with Hanson Rob. Danny here's got a fight coming up on Jackheimer Promotions on September 13th. Make sure you come in. You know what you got?
Absolutely. I got Rob Carcione in the cage September 13th for Jackheimer Promotions. Always ready to put on a show and putting a lot of work here with my boy Mike.
I got the honor to corner him too, so it's a week before my fight, so you want to watch him, you'll watch me, and God willing, everything goes the way we plan it, and both come out some big wins.
Absolutely.
talking about live goes, you know, we'll do a lot of drilling, do a little bit of sparring, a lot of strength, a lot of conditioning. In terms of live goes though, I mean the pro practices in the mornings, those are murderers row, and they're all live goes. Hours straight of live goes, 5 minutes. So we have these 3-minute rounds. 5 minutes isn't as, you know, 5 minutes makes 3 minutes, not as bad. So I'm going 5 minutes with the best of the best, you know. These are the best amateurs out there, the best pros, UFC fighters, Bellator fighters, UFC, you know, these are the best guys. So live goes, a lot of live training, you know. We have the nighttime class, you know, a lot of that going, you know. Get some nice hard goes, like the boy Danny Trujillo here, get him ready for his grappling super fight. You know, I'm cornering him, he's got his fight the week before mine, so get ready to corner him up for December 13th. Make sure to check him out too. Alright, so let's take a look, see where we're at right now. Came in before practice, before strength and conditioning at around 1:52. I drank some my shakes, some of my water. So probably only a little bit less than that. Let's take a look where we're at though. And let's see, it's dropping a little bit. Yeah, we got about 151, give or take. So we got 151. That's 15 pounds over the weight limit because you got a 1 pound allowance, 136. So we're about 18 days out right now. You know, I like where I'm at. You know, I don't like being much lower than 150 for an extended period of time. I like to be at that weight for the weigh-ins, done, back to normal, back in the cage, 155. You know, the nutrition of everything, cutting weight, a lot of people make it a lot harder than it has to be. You know, cutting weight, it's easy. You just gotta know what you're doing, you gotta make sure everything you do stacks up right, eat the right things, keep yourself hydrated, keep training, you know, not that hard. We'll talk a little more about that at some point, but I know Andrew really wants it, but you know, we'll get there at some point.
I'm Rob Laviento, owner and head coach at Long Island Strength and Performance, and head strength coach at Long Island MMA.
So over here we had some beautiful Rob, ready to go. You know, got our strength conditioning done, a little fun Friday, you know, Friday fun day. Exactly, fun Friday, ready to go. A little power, you know, Robbie.
Speed and power drills today. So what I'm going to do with Mike, when we do with all the athletes, we do a lot of functional mobility and a functional strength training. Right off the bat, we're doing a lot of activation work, soft tissue or myofascial release, and movement patterns. And always focusing on, not just with the fighters, but with a lot of pro athletes, a lot of college athletes, anybody, a lot of hip stuff. And obviously it's important with my jiu-jitsu and MMA guys. Not only do we do the hip focus though, we also focus a lot on the shoulder. So for example, we specify depending on what the athlete needs. Mike needs a little bit more shoulder work, that's okay. He's real good in the hips, but we never neglect it. So what we started with, we do some activation work. We start to isolate the muscle, we turn the glutes on, we turn the hips on, that's where all that power comes from. And we work our way up, and then we start to go into the shoulder. Because the idea is to be able to be functional and flow from one hip to the opposite shoulder, from one shoulder to the opposite hip. So it helps you throw a punch, throw a kick, throw a baseball, football, sprint, whatever it may be.
Rich, you got your box over there.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, let me,
It's fine. Go.
Here, I keep them tall first. Look, it doesn't have to be fully extended.
Yeah.
It's short, and it's
Yeah, I just want to try
more
for
control.
hours.
We do a mobility, flexibility, movement pattern type workout every single time we train. Every single time we train, I don't care what it is.
I wake up in the morning, I'm doing mobility.
Perfect.
You know,
Yep.
it's less than like, it's not so much flexibility. It's not like traditional flexibility, like a more yoga, morning stretch. It's more like activation of the muscle. It's about being able to move through a flexible range. Like flexibility is a static kind of thing. The mobility is the being able to move everything through it.
What I like to explain with flexibility and mobility to a lot of guys, flexibility is kind of your, like Mike said, it's your movement through the muscle. So if you're flexible, your muscle's real good. It can move back and forth. Mobility is movement from the joint. So you want to be flexible, and most of the guys are. Most of the athletic guys are flexible. That's not the problem. They said they're locked up at a hip or at a shoulder or at a joint pattern. So the mobility work we do not only increases the flexibility, but it increases mobility, and that's what I'm looking to do, movement around the joint, not just movement in the muscle tissue. One of the favorite tools I use in my activation work with my guys, we go from hip, we go from core, we go from shoulder. The 90-90 stretch is a great tool to work thoracic mobility. And like I said, we work on my shoulders a lot. They're a little bit tight. It's okay. Most guys are, especially in boxing and striking drills. The chest tilts forward a little bit. You get this anterior tilt in the shoulder blade. 90-90 stretch helps that out quite a bit. What I like to do is stabilize the lumbar spine, the lower body, and the hips, and just try to get them to rotate through the mid-spine and the scap. And that one really does show great results. And again, like I said, Mike does it in the morning, Mike does it at night. I have guys do it 3 to 4 times a day in the beginning. As you get going, as you get good at the movement, as you start to increase thoracic mobility and movement through the shoulder blades, you can do once a day, twice a day, right before you work out. And that's what we're doing here.
The shoulder? The shoulder one too, you want these straight
I don't like it. As soon as it's too close, it's almost like, I don't mind straight in front, like you're holding a dumbbell or you're doing like a plate or whatever or anything.
Yeah.
There's just a tendency to get the shoulder things right. So you might as well rotate it out. That's like the anterior stuff. Just the right shoulder. Yeah, she's not. Pop right up to the diagonal on this, so as soon as we're going to push through, stable, and then hold the arm on the side, take your time on the arm, and then go right to Bill Rich. Now keep your head to your top, that's both heel to your ass, and make it a little harder. Alright, hips, stay, that's it. So just bring the core in now a little bit. Right to Bill Rich, right to the flank. Excellent. Step up to a little bit higher, a little faster. You can start out just alternating shoulders. Just lift one toe, bounce back to the head. Lift one toe, bounce back to the head. Anytime once you get comfortable with this tripod position, base out a little bit with your legs and have your shoulders back. Yeah, don't worry about the toes. Don't worry about the toes. Base your toes. Keep your hips in line, now shoulders down. That's a level. Good. That's it. So maintain the posture, anti-rotate. That's it. Reset. That's it. No, we were over at he rented out like a spot for Dennis and the ocean. So he was like, we wanted to do another like follow up with doing some good stuff. Yeah. Get into it. I was like, how's he doing? What's the tall guy who does? He's your friend, right? The tall guy. Hold the bridge. Catch your breath. Good. Most of our training focuses on that dynamic movement pattern. Again, we're not in a static sport. We should be moving around. We should be moving through the joint. We should be flexible. So the movement patterns emulate dynamic movements. So we're bounding, we're jumping, we're going through full ranges of motion when we stretch, as opposed to just sitting there doing a static stretch. I don't love static stretches to warm up. They're almost really kind of a waste of energy, but I do like static stretches to increase in endurance. So sometimes at the end, or even around as an activator, we'll use a static stretch to force a movement pattern or burnout at the end of the set. That's where I kind of work those static stability drills. Sitting on your knee, up, rotates. Second roll down, do your calf stretch. That's all. Don't worry about it. We'll do one last one for one. So get under, keep it planted, rotate, come back. Get to the cage, come up, back good. Straight from the back, that's it. Feel down the way. Check out what I do with the calf. Get going over the instep, shoulder back, push through, grind your hip, get that rotate, get that straight drive first, then rotate. And watch what I do. Heel down, a little head out, stretch. I turn this forward. Almost like when my heels up on the bench, and we go to that rotational hamstring. Yeah. Same idea, right? Heel down, toe to shoe. And on the lat, leg crate. Two forward, fire that back glute, rotate away, keep your hip driven down, rotate down. 2, good. Heel down, turn this hip over. Suck my hip off. In any dynamic sport, I like to do a speed and power a little bit before we say we even strength train, or days where we just solely focus on speed and power work. And after we warm up, after we get those movement patterns, after we're moving well, I like to add some speed and power to it. So we use the agility ladder. It's a great tool. Footwork wise, I think it's something that the MMA guys and the boxers can grasp. It's cool. You're like, oh, I understand the foot patterns. And mental wise, I'll let him, over to that. I just personally seeing it from training with little guys to older guys to pro athletes to MMA fighters to football guys, it is a frustrating tool, and it's just like learning technique, man. Once you get one down, it clicks, and Mike can tell you on some of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Exactly. Some of them, it's more neurological. It's the neuromuscular junction. Exactly. It's trying to find that in between, and a lot of it, there is transfer over. Some of those hip twists, to kick. There's other ones where it's those laterals. It's more like stepping off for a punch and you're slipping. This transfer over, it doesn't look like as much. You see those, you associate those drills with football and basketball. It's immediate, obvious carryover. There's a lot of carryover with footwork here. It's a matter of reaction time, and some of it actually is the twists, the hip switches. Those carry over identically. This is what we're doing here. So we're here, facing forward, torso stays forward. When I jump here, face out. Step the feet shoulder width, push back, push around, push, push. Quickly turn over. Good. Take those feet outside the box. Sorry, reset. Right toe wants to sweep in. Out. Just like kind of almost like a switch kick. Here. Push. Turn over, keep the torso up tall. Woo! Good tip. Hips into the arm. Boom. Don't worry about going to that's good. Don't worry about going to drop past the knee. Good one. So, right, yeah, that's it. Just concentrate to the side up. Hip, that's it. Hip to the ball. Catch, reset. Hip to the bar. Up. Yeah, good. Woo. Total shoulder width back. Push that hip through here. Yeah, gently. Sink the hip back. RDL right here, stable. 1, 2, 3. Lock those heels out. 1. Yeah. Get the foot up. Yes. Get the lats involved. Get the shoulders back. Up. Yeah. Awesome. Do that myself. Go. Up. There it is. Much better. That was loaded. Good. Yes. On the bar, so you step off, go. There's no rest. Up. Pop. Yes. See? Good. Reset. Hip hinge. Pop. Up. Yeah.
Olympic lifts. Awesome tool to use. It's a great power producer. It generates a ton of power in the hip. It may look like an upper body exercise a lot when they're throwing stuff overhead, like with a snatch, or even dropping underneath with shoulders on a hang clean. It really is quick hip movements. So again, it emulates movements that we do in a sport because I'm driving my hip and dropping my hip back, driving my hip forward, dropping my hip back. It's one of the only exercises where you can create such a tremendous concentric force, powerful force, and then also control that power, or eccentrically control it. And I use that tool with almost every athlete I have. And not only is generating power important, such as the hang cleans we did today, but such as like I had my drop under and stabilize, controlling the power is almost as important as generating the power. Because if you go for a takedown and you're just trying to flop around, or you go for a punch and you're just trying to flop around, it's no good. I need to follow through. I need you to control the power in the ring. I need you to control the power everywhere. Take time in that knee to your chest. Good. Up. Awesome. Ground with the foot. Perfect. There it is. Up. So 6 foot ones. There it is. Good. Excellent. So hard. Yeah, good job. Breathe through a lip. Right after. Yes, good. That's it. Sorry, reset. Take time. Keep balance. As soon as those feet hit. Yeah, that was it. There you go. Real good. Breathe through a lip, guys. Quick. I want you rolling out the T-spine right after these. I'm going to breathe through a lip. And then all you guys are 90-90. All you guys are 90-90. So half to half. So today what we really focused on, we did posterior chain, hip drives, a lot of leg power. Circuit-wise, especially a month, 2 months, even up to about 4 weeks before the fight, 3 weeks before the fight, focus on power. That's really the key to getting that win, to me anyway. I really like power because you're doing so much conditioning on your own. You don't need to do a little bit more conditioning with me. You don't need to do any skill drills. We work on power production. So what we did today, we did a power drill for the back chain, the posterior chain. We did an activation when we do our rotational stretches, kind of dynamic, static kind of movement pattern. We go to a strength exercise. I had Mike do the single leg RDL today, the Romanian deadlift. We're holding a heavy kettlebell, heavy dumbbell, heavy weight, low reps, nice and explosive, nice and powerful. As soon as he finishes the strength one, he goes to a neuromuscular facilitator or an explosive dynamic movement pattern. That's when we hopped off the box, onto the box, we worked on our depth jumps. And that really focuses not on muscle tissue as much as the nervous system. And that's why we follow an activation, stretch, mobilize, strengthen up the area, increase power and speed to the area.
At this point, I mean, strength is really more just maintenance phase, you know, right? Mostly because we're getting close to the cut phase. In terms of fueling, you know, they're not going to be able to put on any kind of meat. We don't want to put any mass, so it's pretty tough to...
You know, 2 weeks to the fight, we're not looking to gain any more strength and power. We're looking to keep the power we have, keep the mobility, really, and just tighten everything up. Focus on really good dynamic movement patterns, really.
Yes, as we're leading now to the fight, getting closer, you know, I don't actively, you know, say, okay, well, I had 6 ounces of steak last time, I gotta have 3 ounces, 5 ounces this time, 4 ounces this time. It's more like, all right, that one's a little bit smaller. Maybe eggs, you know, there's actual count to it, so maybe instead of having like 4 or 5 eggs, you'll have like 2 or 3. In terms of vegetables, you're really not gonna overdose on vegetables, have as many as you want. And so even getting close to fight time, you know, fruits, starches, those cut back a little bit. The water loading keeps pretty full. You know, I do a bunch of water loading leading up to the fight. You know, I have 2 gallons a day right now, so right now, pretty full from that, you know. You take some of the shrimp here, it's already been deveined and everything. So put it in the bag. We're gonna throw in some skinny fat olive. You know, from Calton Nutrition. It's an awesome way to get in your olive oil. It's MCT, as we said. The beauty is that because it's an MCT blend, you can cook it at a higher smoke point. You don't have to worry about it burning. You're also getting the fat burning properties. I'm gonna throw some pepper in there. So prepping the cauliflower rice right now. So we have a nice head of cauliflower. We're going to cut this up into little parts. We have the water boiling right over here. Once we have this cut into little heads, little florets, we're going to put it into the water. We're going to steam it up, boil it up a little bit. And then once it's got a little bit broken down, we're going to throw it into the Vitamix. We're just going to chop it up and turn it into our rice. So let's start cutting this down. Let's put it away. Just going to cut out the stalk in the middle. Now, as you know, they call me the caveman, so has to do with the paleo diet, as we mentioned, paleo from Long Island, and fact of the matter is in paleo you don't eat grains. A lot of problems associated with grains. We're going to take the asparagus, take the tomatoes, we're going to take a little bit of garlic. Got this from Trader Joe's, one of the pre-packed ones. It's so nice. Garlic is a real pain to cut it open. I'd much rather just get the cloves, So we're going to take this here. We have the grill pan going. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay these across here. They're a little wet from rinsing them off before still, so I'm not too worried about them getting too hot yet. As I'm doing that though, I'm going to take some of the skinny fat olive again that we use for the shrimp. I'm going to drizzle it over the top of the asparagus. Then I'm going to take some of these fresh cherry tomatoes that actually I grew in my own backyard. I'll take these. I'm just going to distribute them amongst the grill pan as well. So we have our steaks here. These are some, grass-fed organic ribeyes that I got from Fairway. The beauty of the whole paleo thing, a lot of people get really neurotic when they starve themselves. The old wrestling model, you starve yourself. The old bodybuilding model, nothing but protein and vegetables. Works great, countless stories of wrestlers and bodybuilders who cut weight and either are going for a weight class or less shredded look, but you don't get as much energy. So the beauty behind a paleo template is you're just eating real food, and you don't have to worry too much about calories. I never count calories. Come close to fight week, yes, I cut down on portions a little bit. Come close to fight week, I change up the food selections a little bit. Maybe the macros change a little bit. But there's no counting them, there's no math, I did well in math, but I never liked math, so this is such a simpler way. You just eat real food. It's a crazy concept, I know. So, what you saw there is relatively average meal. A little bit more prep than I would normally do. I might not do a whole surf and turf idea on a regular meal. A lot of times getting between work and training might be a little fast. But I'll definitely do, I'll do steaks and fat, I'll do vegetables. I'll buy the frozen bags, make life a little easier. The freezing, drop them in because frozen vegetables, they're picked at peak ripeness, so it's a good place to have it. So, but vegetables, some kind of side sometimes, whether I do the rice we planned on or the mashed cauliflower, or maybe not, maybe just, vegetables and meat, the little quality fats, MCTs, the olive oil, coconut oil, a little grass-fed butter. Just keep it simple, keep everything good. Lots of spices, that way it's not too bland. Change the spices, change it up, and you got a lot of options.